I sense something elusive. Stay a while and listen.
Well met.
You are not prepared.
This better be good.
Existence is mysterious.
Loud and clear.
Hello there.
Greetings, traveler, and welcome to the Blue Recluse.
118 of the Blue Recluse. My name is Martin Larsen, and you're listening to the podcast about everything Blizzard. It's Sunday, it's February the 17th, 2019, and with me today, I have Mr. Valentine himself. Hey, Tom, how you doing?
Whoa. Love is in the air everywhere I look around. And I don't know, I'm digesting that new name you've given to me, Marty. And I don't know if there's some sort of backstory why you've started calling me that.
I just looked at you and I thought it was Valentine's Day for some reason and thought, hey, let's go with that.
Okay. Improvisation. Not always a good thing, guys. Not always a good thing.
So how are you doing? How are you doing? Are you feeling lovely?
I'm feeling great. Feeling really good. Really excited to be here today. We've got a list of things, a couple of things that have got kind of red text around them, but it's gonna be okay. We're gonna get through this. It's a hard time to be a Blizzard podcaster, one might say, but we are here to steady the ship and get somewhere that's not near old gods, I think.
Okay.
Someone hasn't been keeping up with in-game.
Someone needs to check out the storyline.
I only play WoW Classic.
Okay. Fair enough. Michael, you're here as well. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Been busy a lot of World of Warcraft recently. Actually, I've been playing quite a bit. So I'm gonna go into a quick little story. We were raiding the other night, and we were literally in the raid for like an hour before we got a full group going. It was pretty rough. Like, we were at our normal start time, but just our numbers have not been there in terms of the raid. So we've been pugging people and trying to recruit that way. And it took us an hour to get people, partly because the first 20 minutes, the raid leader accidentally put that we were doing heroic. So people were joining for heroic, and then he's like, oh, I accidentally made a mistake. So switched over, and then they all left. But we downed Mechatork. So I have now 7... I believe, is it 7 out of 9?
So you listed yourself for heroic, but you guys are actually doing mythic, right? Is that?
Yeah. So they left when they realized they couldn't hang with us.
Yeah. Like, oh, we're not cool. We're not cool enough.
But no, it's been fun. I've been enjoying World of Warcraft recently. We're working on getting me some tank gear. So on those days where we have a rough time getting people in, I can off tank if we need to.
I would actually. I've only been doing the looking for raid the past 2 weeks, and I have to admit I really enjoy the raid so far, at least in looking for raid. I'm also face palming a lot in looking for raid because some
it's
people
looking for raid.
Because it's looking for raid. Some people really need to. I don't know. They do not learn as quickly as other people do. So, but no, I've really been enjoying the encounters though. It's been good fun, and I actually sort of want to see if I can get into some normal groups or something to check it out, because it seems like a good solid raid so far.
It is like there's a lot of mechanics, so it definitely will weed out the people that don't know how to play the game. Especially fights like Opulence and Megatork, where there's a lot of different mechanics going on. We had some random dude, bomb symbol over your head, stays in the middle of the group and just lets it go off, and then later says, why do we keep dying? Like, it's you, fool! 3 times you let it go off in the raid.
It's
Sorry,
not
Tom.
actually called looking for raid. It's not called looking for raid. It's called looking for rage, Marty. Looking for rage. If you're looking for rage, then that is the place where you want to go.
Looking for carries.
Okay.
Looking for carries.
For what?
Carries.
Carries? What's
Carries. You're being carried. People are looking to be carried. So looking for carries.
Sorry. That was a bit of an accent thing going on there.
Accent.
I understood you, Michael.
Thank you.
Give me some subtitles.
but yeah, I'm definitely not the one. I'm definitely one of the ones helping carrying. I mean, I'm still under. Well, not under geared for looking for raid, but I just came back to the game, so I don't have like amazing gear, but I'm still up there when it comes to healing numbers. So I guess I'm doing all right. I'm doing my part. Doing my part. I'm not standing in stupid stuff that I should not be standing in. Things like that. I can turn my back to things that I should not be looking at. Things like that, Michael. So.
Line of sight. Line of sight.
I'm starting to feel like I might be getting the itch to log in again. Like I haven't logged in since 8.1 launched, and I think I've been holding off for 8.2 because that's maybe the point where things are going to be smoothed off a bit and a lot of the existing issues are going to be addressed to some degree. And I think I'm holding out for just coming back in 8.2 strong, but I don't know. I might come back sooner. It's
You
just
have
the whole
so
way.
you can get geared up so that you can actually do the 8.2 stuff. So you
That'll
want to
be-
come
that'll
back
be
a little
catch-up
bit sooner.
mechanics. There'll be catch-up mechanics,
It's-
Michael.
it's-
There's always
it's-
catch-up mechanics.
It's so easy. It's just jumping in to a few, war fronts, and then you have the gear.
Yeah,
that
but you
need
don't want to
achieve
have
stuff.
to do that in order to start playing the new stuff.
No,
you want to
you
jump
just-
in, so do that now. Oh my god, I hate
just-
Dark Shore. Let me just say that. Like, I hate it now. I did it, and I'm just like, I'm so tired of the war fronts. I hate the war fronts at the moment.
To be honest, I can follow you. I'm not a big fan of Dark Show as well. I only jump into it when when it's just popped up. So you get the quest to do it, so you get a high item level gear item. That's the only time I do it. Whereas the other one, I still find that a bit more fun. I can do that. If I were to level a character 220. I would jump into that one straight away just to start getting some gear, because that one is actually still fun to me. But Dark Shore, yeah, I understand you.
It was
It's
cool when
not
it
that
first
good.
came out. Like, I was like, oh, this is a lot better than the first one. But now I'm just like, I'm so over doing those where I'm just like, oh my god,
Yeah.
why are you still here?
So yeah. But I guess while we are at World of Warcraft, we might talk a little bit about allied races and heritage armor. Because you, Michael, you asked some questions in our Discord about it, right?
Yeah, and everybody gave me answers. No, so we're at a
What was
weird
the
time.
question?
The question was, do you enjoy like the heritage armor allied races that are in the game? What are some favorites? And if you have like screenshots to share them and things like that, just so I can kind of get some feels for what people are enjoying out there, which is something a little bit different. Because personally, I like the dwarf heritage armor. I think it looks really cool, and I just want to say Blizzard made a mistake when they advertised it because they used the worst character model to choose it. Like, I was looking at that dwarf and I was like, that dwarf doesn't look halfway near as cool as my dwarf. Like, my dwarf has like a dark beard all the way down, and they use some red-haired dwarf with barely any facial hair, looking like my facial hair right
Whoa,
now.
whoa, 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 hold
Yeah.
on a second. Whoa. What's wrong with the red hair, facial hair, Michael?
Okay, it's not the red hair. It just didn't match the armor. Yeah, you know what? I will say it. The red did not match the armor. All right, it didn't match the armor.
It is an issue I run into a lot.
Yeah, see, you gotta choose your wardrobe wisely. But, like, I was looking at my dwarf, and I constantly keep changing it back to that set. Even when I get new gear, I'm just changing it to that set. So I was just like, I wonder if anyone else really enjoys the heritage armor that they have, or if they absolutely hate it.
I would say that when it comes to allied races, I don't know. I think they should have done something. I think they should have, I don't know, they should have started at a higher level or something like that. It's really, really boring for me to go back and level through it again. I made myself a Void Elf hunter that I've played, and I think I got into World of Draenor now, which is luckily like that's a quick leveling area. It just goes so quick, but still, it's so. It's not fun for me. I don't find it that much fun. Whereas when it comes to the already existing races and the heritage armor, I actually find that a little bit more interesting. And I have a warrior dwarf that's level 119 and a half. So I'm almost there.
Better boost that.
I'm almost there. I'm almost at the 100 magical number 120, so I can start doing that quest and get the heritage armor. And I mean, it makes a little bit more sense for me that because it's a character that I already had.
Maybe
fairly
you
high
should
up,
try
and-
streaming it because Frasley's been going through characters like it's just so easy. He's been streaming and doing it all. He has he's like 4 different characters that he's leveling or something like that. He got his Dark Iron all the way up, and now he's doing I don't even know what. I can't
Yeah,
keep
and-
up with him.
And Dark Iron feels so weird if you read the quest just a little bit, because a lot of the dwarf starting zones is all about killing Dark Iron dwarves. But why would a Dark Iron dwarf do that to begin with? It makes
That's
no
messed
sense.
up,
Yeah.
isn't it? That is messed up.
It's so weird.
And it's not just the early, like it's even in a little bit later of the classic experience, like when you get into like Syrian Gorge and stuff like that, there's just Dark Iron all over, and you're just like, yep, I'm gonna knock you out.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like it could have been done a little bit better in my opinion. So I'm not really enjoying that part. But I think it's also because I have all characters at minimum 110, all classes at minimum 110. So all of a sudden have to, I thought I was done, right? And then have to go back, do it all again just to get like a transmog. It doesn't feel too appealing to me.
That terminology, Marty, in an MMO never works. I thought I was done. That doesn't. You're never done, Marty.
That's not true.
You're here for life.
That's not true. I got rep with I got exalted finally with all the factions in BFA. I beat the game. I'm done.
Yeah, credits roll.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those darn Tortolans. I can't tell you how many turtles have made it to the water.
Not
And,
enough.
and that's quite interesting as well, because when I started playing the expansion when it just came out, I was playing on my shaman. That was my main. I chose that as my main, and humans can't be shamans, so I was playing Draenei, and then I quit the game, and now I've sort of back a little bit, and I've been playing on my human priest, which used to be my main, and I'm already, because of that ratio, I'm already higher rep than I was with my Draenei when I stopped playing.
You're too OP with the racials.
Yeah, so
If you don't play human, if you're Alliance and you don't play human, what are you doing?
doing
Playing
what
what are you
dwarf. That's what we're playing. All right.
but no, actually, I do quite enjoy my dwarf warrior. I've had a blast playing it this weekend actually, and just having two big two-handers and going rampage through the world. It's fun.
Marty and his big two-handers. There we go. Beautiful. That's a beautiful image I've got in my head right now. Rampaging.
Keep that to yourself.
That just let's end the show on that image.
That would be rough. That would be rough.
Speaking of rough, no new games coming out from Blizzard in 2019. Nothing that we already know of, at least. Obviously, there will be 3 games coming out: World of Warcraft Classic, Diablo Immortal, and Warcraft 3 Remastered.
Reforged.
Reforged.
Get right.
Reforged. Yeah. But besides that, no new games coming out in 2019. Sort of a little bit expected, wasn't it?
Yeah. With no reveals at BlizzCon other than Diablo Immortal and the Classic and Warcraft 3 Reforged, I think that was pretty much what we were expecting. That like these are kind of our tie-overs until the next big hitters come out. And while I wasn't there, if World of Warcraft Classic is as grindy, it's going to be quite a big tie-over until those other things come out if you're interested in that. So nothing new there. What we are shaping up for is hopefully a pretty big BlizzCon. Because we've heard so many things about all these different projects that are in the works and how everything is being shifted around in a company in order to start producing things faster as well as more content in the game realms. So hopefully this will be a pretty big BlizzCon in terms of like, hey, we're about to hit you with a whole bunch of new stuff, so get ready, because 2020, 2021 hopefully will be a big year for Blizzard in terms of game content.
Yeah, it sounds that sounds good. It sounds good that BlizzCon will probably be great to watch this year, and 2020. Besides, there's an election. It will be a pretty good year, I guess, when it comes to games at least. But we're in the beginning of 2019. It's February, and I'm like, we're running a Blizzard podcast, and I'm thinking, what are we going to talk about the next year then, or at least until November, then.
There'll be plenty of Hearthstone card backs, Marty. Don't worry. Don't worry. We'll make it stretch, and might have to make some stuff up, like we already do anyway. And we'll make it. We'll make it to November, even if we have to drag our weary bodies across that blue finish line. We'll get there. We always do.
There's plenty of StarCraft to be played in the meantime, which I was actually playing today.
Okay.
I was playing some of it today.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, and we did play some games last week instead of doing a show. And
how did that go? What did you play?
Overwatch.
We played Overwatch. Michael gave me a choice between StarCraft and Overwatch, so obviously we played Overwatch. But in hindsight, since you couldn't make it last week, Tom, maybe we should have played some StarCraft, Michael. Why? We probably should have, because it would be like the perfect opportunity to play some StarCraft.
No, I'm gonna practice like all this week, so that next week if we play, it could be you two versus me, and Tom will hinder your team.
Wait,
I
shouldn't
will
it
win.
be? Wait, shouldn't it be me and Michael versus Marty?
Why?
That might be more fair. Well, because I'm a complete hindrance to having on your time.
That's why I'm putting you on that side. I don't want handicaps.
So
no.
then he's a hindrance for me.
He might have some units.
All right, Tom. What are you doing this week? I feel like we're going in a boot camp.
You guys are just gonna come out like pros, and I'm gonna be like, I just finished a barracks.
I don't think there's that much time, Marty. We're doomed. We're doomed.
And so is hundreds of non-development positions.
Oh,
That's a painful transition.
Damn.
Oh my.
Sorry. But that's true, though. That is true. Because the news came out.
We are face palming. Audio listeners, we are face palming, and by no means do we. What am I trying to say?
We don't mean to make light of the situation.
Yes, we do not mean to make light. Indeed.
It is obviously not a fun situation for anyone, because how much was it? It was almost like 800. Yeah, positions worldwide that Activision Blizzard, not just Blizzard, but Activision Blizzard, they had to lay off a lot of people because they didn't earn enough money last year, right? But that was the issue, right? Money-wise, they didn't do that well.
Okay, so there's multiple ways to look at it. Like, first, let's preface this by saying that we try to keep the show as positive as possible. It's not like we're oblivious to the negative things that are going on, or that we are like, hey, it's Blizzard, we love it, and it's okay for them to do these things. We just try to keep it more positive. That's why we haven't really spoke about it. So this is kind of us just speaking about it to get it out of the way. But on the topic, I think it's okay to give it a fair shake and just say that there was mistakes made with overhiring at some point. Overhiring for positions that either were meant to be temporary from the beginning, or they just overestimated the growth of the position, or at least the growth of the area in which the company was going. So in turn, the bad management that happened from the top, okay, the bad management that happened there, all the overhirings that they did in order to facilitate certain things, they realized they had a surplus of jobs that had the same title. There were multiple people doing the same thing, and there were a lot of people kind of sitting on their hands and just not really doing anything and getting paid for it. If you're a company, especially if you're higher up, when you look at how much they made record revenue. They didn't make record profit, they made record revenue, which means that they've made more money than they have before, but not all of that was profitable. So when you look at all the money you made and you're like, why aren't we getting profits? You start looking at why. And essentially they noticed they had a whole bunch of jobs where they could either do without, or maybe it was just a drain of funds. So they went ahead and they started eliminating those jobs. A lot of people have pointed to Nintendo, when Nintendo kind of had a similar financial situation, and Satoru Iwata actually took a pay cut of about 50% so that he didn't have to let employees go and things like that. I think this is a bit different in that sense. No company wants to pay people for doing nothing, essentially. Now, that being said, not every position was not doing anything, and they did get rid of a lot of key positions that would help the company in the long run, especially those in the community feedback department, which a few of them are now gone. So it's really challenging to speak of, because it sucks that 800 people lose their job. It's understandable that a company looks to try to make as much money as possible. The two don't always match up, and people are uprooted, upended, and it sucks no matter what way you look at it. And if I was to try to find a positive spin on it, it would be that more openings are being put into game development. So
Yeah, because they have been saying that yeah, they are firing or laying off a lot of people, but they also are increasing like the development staff by like, what is it, 20%, something like that, by quite a bit, because they want to get. I mean, we already said it. 2019. There's not a lot of things coming out, if any. And obviously, if you're a company that needs to make money, then you need to put out some new content that people will pay for. So yeah. It's just, I don't know. Go on.
As I say, I think coming from like where we were like even like a month before BlizzCon, and everything that's happened recently, this is just, I feel like if everything that happened like leading up to BlizzCon hadn't have happened, and even like the blog posts after this obviously would still be a big deal, but I don't think it would be as impactful as it has been right now. And everything negative coming out of Blizzard is being scrutinized, amplified. But of course, this situation, this has felt really, really tough, because even just going on to Twitter and seeing the people announcing that they'd lost their jobs, and how closely connected a lot of people were to that employee as well. Like, you're actually seeing it firsthand that, oh, like this person's saying, I've lost my job. This was my dream job and I've lost it. And when you're as close as that stuff, like we're podcasters, but we're not like directly impacted by this to the degree that these people are. It's changing their lives, and just to even read about that, it's really upsetting. And yes, for sure, this is the way corporate businesses are run. There's ruthless aspects, and it's still really upsetting to the people that are affected by it, because it can change people's life. It can make people like really ill. Like, it can just ruin people's lives, that if it's totally unexpected like this. And we don't know exactly like the ins and outs of everything that's happened over the past like 6 months, where there's been lots of talk of this happening, how well the employees were informed, even how the decision was made to let go of certain people, because it looks like there are certain people that have lost their jobs that were in really respected roles within the community outreach. And it's definitely sent shockwaves through the community that way. And I've never seen something like it, where you've got current employees that are like retweeting the tweets of the employees that have been fired, and then there's other game companies like posting about they have places. And I've never seen that before. I've never experienced that. And I know there's been substantial layoffs in other companies over the past few years, like EA, for example. And I guess because my head's not too close to EA, I haven't seen it from that end, but just seeing it from this Blizzard perspective, it's just it's crazy. Like, I mean, it's crazy. Just everything that's happened the last 6 months, and then this. It's just what are the world we live in, Blizzard world now. It does feel almost unrecognizable from maybe this time last year. And I'm not saying that the end is here, because
No,
hopefully, with regards to these like changes towards getting more devs, and maybe their priorities are switching, maybe that will have a benefit for us. But we're not going to see that, just much like until we get to BlizzCon. Like, it's like a year away. We're not going to see that yet.
I see a lot of YouTubers who's like, oh my god, it's the end of Activision Blizzard and everything's doom and gloom. And I mean, sure, there has been a lot of news at the same time, within like the same time frame. A lot of things have happened at the same time. But to be honest, this is not the end of anything. We've talked a little bit about it, that it is them restructuring everything, their company. And I think we've talked about that it's probably something that has happened a little bit gradually over the year, but you know, now it's like when they do the big push where they're restructuring everything. And you know, they have so many games on the pipeline, at least that's what they keep saying. But if we, I mean, we know there's some Diablo stuff out there right around the corner. They have been, we know there's a mobile Diablo as well, and we know that they're doing the incubation teams with a lot of those games, and probably mobile games as well. But we do know that there's multiple projects in the works in there, and we'll see them sooner or later, probably more later than sooner, but still, it's out there. And all this that has happened over, you know, a very short period of time is not something new. It's something we've seen before. But I think the big difference is then because they did do a big round of firing people or laying off people some years ago, but you know, that was at a time where everything else was great. There was no mishap at BlizzCon. You know, everything was good and dandy back then. And a lot of the other things that's been happening, you know, it happens that when we're following a game, we get into this lull period where not a lot of stuff is happening, and we had that before, like with the games individually. Whereas right now, it feels like it's like with all the games at the same time. It just feels like everything has come together in this big pot of just uneasiness and bad vibes, and it's a really, really weird situation as a Blizzard podcaster to be in, because you know,
Yeah.
we do try to look at it on the bright side, but it's also so damn difficult when everybody else is like, you know, just talking bad stuff about Blizzard.
It's hard to really form like an actual opinion in your head when everything around you is like swirling around. There's way more negativity than positivity, and I understand that for sure. I understand the recent events, and it's just so hard to look at things and still keep burning that positivity, because I would class myself as generally a positive person. And I've seen people who have just been like such Blizzard fans, like devout Blizzard fans, like the hardcore Blizzard fans, and even their like trust, it's cracked, it's shattered a bit, and they're taking a step back from Blizzard games. And I've seen people that were heavily invested into World of Warcraft step away, and Heroes of the Storm, and just yeah, exactly like you, Marty. You were always someone that was heavily invested in World of Warcraft. You took a step back. You're back in there now a little bit, but
Ish.
I'm seeing it with just a lot of people. And when I start to think about, well, if a lot of people that, you know, I respect and I trust are feeling similar ways, and then I'm like, well, I think I feel that way too. And it's just it is a really difficult place. And then obviously stuff like that's happening in the news, and it definitely right now that you've got to look at all the facts. So you have to look at all the facts, and you also have to understand that we don't know all the facts as well, because it's easy to focus on one side of the information and not like take into account everything else. But there's no denying that this sucked. This was a shit one. Out of all the news we've had, this was a crap one. And it's really sucky, because I kind of know close hand about like losing a job recently, and it's you in a pretty dark place, and I definitely hope that all those people, from what it sounds like, they've got good packages. They've maybe got ways to continue their careers elsewhere with guidance and things like that. So I really hope that stuff's in place, and if so, that's a really good thing to have. Like, you can say what you like about the layoffs, but if people are getting like decent severance packages and they're also getting guidance to perhaps be relocated in some other company or something like that, like, that's a really great thing to have, and not everyone does have that. But again, it just doesn't take away from the fact that this has just been a bad run of big news. And when we were saying like, oh, there's nothing coming in 2019, it's like we don't really have that blanket to put over the fire. Like, that fire will still burn, and until we get like, oh, Diablo 4 or, you know, something like that there, where people will like turn their heads and go, oh, okay, it's gonna be okay, we're gonna we're saved.
I think people are sort of looking forward to Diablo Immortal right now.
I kind of to be honest, like we've kind of discussed it. I don't mind games on the phone as long as like they're engaging, and like I said, I'm gonna give it a try regardless. I always take the approach simply this, is that what a company does is not always indicative of the game quality, and we've kind of addressed on that before, and we could talk about World of Warcraft in its current state, or we could also just kind of bring up the fact that, hey, World of Warcraft has had bad expansions before, and they've shown that they're able to kind of bounce back from it. And I simply say, like, hey, it may not be your cup of tea right now, but who knows, it might come back better later. So
is this true, by the way, that there's two teams that work on expansions, and there's like a team A and a team B? Is that true?
I don't know if it's true, but it sometimes it feels like it, right? Because it sort of feels like every other expansion is really good.
The Warlords of Draenor team is like working on BFA, so
and that means they were working on Cataclysm as well. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I maybe it's also just, you know, every other year you have a really good expansion, and then obviously when you come out of a good expansion, you're on a high and you expect it to be even better in the next one, and then, you know, oh, it didn't beat expectations. The new expectations are being lowered again, so then obviously the next expansion again will have a big chance of still getting better. I think it's something along those lines as well, and to be honest, I don't think BFA is that bad. I think it has been plagued with a lot of like a really bad start, but everything else in the game, the storytelling is so good, the raids have been great, but then there's been this overshadowing thing called, you know, the Azerite gear, and that has offset everything, and so they have had to use a lot of time, you know, trying to fix that, and I think that has a lot to do with it as well. So I mean, I don't exactly think we have a Warlords of Draenor situation. Well, maybe we sort of do. The thing is that I just got in with my allied raised hunter that I'm void elf that I'm playing. I just got to Warlords of Draenor, and I played through the intro missions, and I'm in the first zone right now, and you know what, the story is great. The whole beginning of the expansion was so great. It was just, you know, everything that happened afterwards, and, you know, the 14 months of drought where there was nothing coming out for it, that is what actually killed it. So, you know, Legion was just that good of an expansion. Everything was paced, and you know, it was just all around well rounded. So, you know, it's not always that dark and gloomy as people want to make things.
Yep. Yeah. I'm having fun in games still.
And I mean, if I was, you know, on a raid team, then I would have fun as well, I'm pretty sure. I'm just not on a raid team right now, so, you know, that's not. I've played through all the story content, so there is not too much for me to do then.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's the main.
We're all
main
waiting
thing.
for 8.2. Bring on the changes. Bring on the story. I'm hoping that there's like a big story part, since we haven't really gotten a whole bunch of story. I'm hoping that 8.2 is kind of like a mini expansion type thing, where it's like, hey,
that would be so cool.
Yeah, we're about to pump a whole bunch of story. That's why we didn't give you a lot last time, is because we have been working on this. So that's what I'm kind of hoping for.
Yeah.
I'm much in the boat of Valamware Krabbit in the chat. who is also my girlfriend, because we were playing World of Warcraft. We played Battle for Azeroth on launch. We were really enjoying it, and we saw people like flying ahead, getting everything done, and we were obviously taking a much slower pace. We were even enjoying war mode, which apparently is a terrible, terrible thing. Then we went traveling for 3 months.
War mode is awesome.
Then we came back, and we were just about to kind of get back into that, and we didn't. And then we started playing this other MMO, and then we just haven't really gone back. And I feel like if we both did, we'd probably pick it up again and still enjoy that, because I think one of the issues is, and I've read a lot of people saying that, well, BFA, it's just like Legion. Why don't you like it? And I think that might be the problem, that it is just like we went through that whole period of Legion. It was really good, but by the end, you're like, you kind of want something a little different. And I think
everything
aside from story, a lot of things are the same, and the systems they've put in just aren't that amazing. Like Island Expedition and Warfronts, I think people had a lot of expectations of what they might be, and maybe there'll be something better in future expansions, but it just feels like it's Legion, but it's been stripped away. And the whole Azerite system, to be honest, I still don't understand the Azerite system, because it's not clear how it's supposed to function compared to the artifact power, which that was a flawed system as well, but it made more sense than the Azerite gear.
I think what they wanted to do was have the same system where, sort of Paragon system where, you level to max level, what to do now? Well, in Diablo, you can level your Paragon level. In Legion, you level up your weapon and you get more abilities and you unlock stuff and things like that. And that's sort of what they went for, but the system just failed, because that's not really what you do unlock, some random effects and stuff like that, but it just doesn't.
It's underwhelming, isn't it? It's just the
thing is, I don't understand what the different spells do, and what is better and what is good, and what I need to use for what. And I think that's the thing, that when you look at your artifact weapon, you're like, I unlock this and I heal for more with this spell and things, so it makes sense to you what you're unlocking. Whereas here, I'm like, I just got another chest piece, for instance. Which one is now the better one? What should I actually go with? It's not clear, and I think that's the issue.
And it's all like weird stuff, like gain more mastery at nighttime on a Tuesday or something. It's like, I don't really know what that means.
I don't raid on Tuesdays. This isn't gonna help me.
So yeah, I just feel like the intention with the system was good, but how it actually turned out was not. And if they had a few more months to before they had to release the expansion, then they might have actually been able to fix it along those lines. But they had a deadline and they needed to bring it out there. So that was part of the issue as well. And also just if you're raiding and you go from normal to heroic and you get your heroic upgrade, you need to unlock the same abilities again, because it has higher levels.
It's a clunky system, isn't it? It's not clear how it works. Like, even just playing the game, like for as much as I play BFA, me and my girlfriend and Matt, we just didn't really understand what Azerite gear was supposed to do, just from a casual perspective. And I mean, that to me, like if somebody casual is playing the game, like tier sets, for example, you know what a tier set does. Like, I collect 2 of these pieces and I'll get this. Whereas Azerite gear was just like, I don't know. Like, do I keep this stuff, or do I do I not keep it, or is this an it's weird.
And then when you want, if you're running more than one spec on one character, then it gets even more confusing. So it's not a good system, and they have acknowledged that themselves as well. And I think in 8.2 there will be a lot of changes to that whole thing as well. So hopefully going forward, they will do something that makes a little bit more sense for everyone.
All roads lead to Azerite gear.
Anyway, I have the sounder that I want to play for you guys. So are you guys ready?
Ready?
Yeah.
This week in StarCraft, Blizzard announced the rest of the 2019 StarCraft schedule, with WCS Spring and Summer to take place live in Kiev. WCS Fall will take place at DreamHack Montreal, 3 Challenger Series, 3 GSLs, 2 GSL Super Tournaments, and GSL vs. the World will fill out the rest of the remaining schedule. Blizzard also revised their recent policy change restricting players from competing in both Season 1 of GSL and Season 1 of WCS Challenger. It was intended to limit the number of WCS circuit players who would compete in the Korean tournament, and it was successful as all the usual foreigners except for Scarlet pulled out of the GSL competition. Season 2 and 3 will return to the 2018 rules. In addition, Blizzard announced plans to release a second war chest later this year. In WCS Winter EU, Cyril advanced first out of his group, undefeated. Raynor, Euthermal, Hero Marine, Elazer, Hearthstone, Lambo, Mana, Dampshire, Rail, Hellraiser, and Petite Drogo also advanced, with Nergio falling out 0-4. Showtime, Xanster, Sort of, and Hate Me will play later today. In WCS Winter NA, Neve advanced undefeated, with Time, Probe, Rex, Massa, Estrella, Coffee, and Silky, Hasp, Puck, Firefly, and Zark played later today. Group Stage 2 begins February 14th for both regions. Brood War Patch 1.22.3 has arrived. The first season of 2019 has officially begun, featuring new Zerg-themed ranked play rewards. Other new features have been added to the WCS Game Heart extension mod, which will now automatically prevent skins from being displayed for players, but skins will be visible to observers. In GSL Season 1, 2 GSL players received the Nesty Award for 10 consecutive Codex appearances this week, Classic and Losira. They are the 9th and 10th players to accomplish the feat. MC joined Root Gaming this week. One of the most decorated players of all time, MC retired from pro gaming in 2016 to become a League of Legends coach, but he looked anything but rusty in the leadoff match of the GSL group stages this week, easily defeating Stats, last year's BlizzCon finalist, before being knocked out himself. Emerging from group stages so far this week are Dark and Deer, Classic and Trap, Gumiho and Cure, SOS and Bunny. Mario and Scarlet are next to play along with Sue, Innovation, TY, Zest, and Rogue in groups E through H. In ASL Season 7, the round of 16 group stages have just begun, with Effort and Harangue 2 advancing over Gunchi and Piano. IEM Katowice 2019 group stages begin February 25th and March 3rd. And that's your very busy week in StarCraft.
There we go. There's a lot of stuff still going on in StarCraft. That game is still going strong.
Yeah.
We should have played StarCraft, Michael, last week. We should have. Why did you give me options?
I know, I'm sorry. Note to self, don't give Marty options. Just tell him what to do. I was actually playing. I got the war chest. I'm unlocking things. And if anybody out there has the war chest or is thinking about getting the war chest, which allows you to unlock skins and things like that inside the game, just know
What's
that
the
you
war
can...
chest?
Huh?
What is that?
I
What
just
is the war
told you.
chest?
I just told you. In the war chest, if you play games or you watch StarCraft on Twitch,
Okay.
then you can either play the in-game, watch it on Twitch, and you can unlock skins for the different races and things like that.
Oh, so I could just watch StarCraft and unlock stuff and I wouldn't have to play it?
Yeah.
Yes.
You just watch it, and eventually you'll get something that pops up on your screen, and it'll say, "Hey, you've earned experience towards your war chest." So you can collect that XP, and the next time you log into the game, you'll see it go into your war chest. And every time you get up like a certain level or something, you'll work towards unlocking a new skin for a unit, a building, or even a comic book.
Yay, comic book.
Yeah. So there it is.
Yay!
Yeah.
There we go. There we go. That was actually last week in World of StarCraft. Because we didn't play it last week because we were playing games, but here it is. There's also some Hearthstone stuff going on. There's a little.
Yeah, Michael, sit down.
Michael is going now. He's leaving. He is gone.
Come on, it's not that bad.
He doesn't want the disease. He doesn't want to be corrupted. And what am I talking about, Tom? What am I talking about?
You're talking a load of nonsense, but that's not new. No, you're talking about the Curse of Hakkar in Hearthstone. Do you remember back in...
That's not in Hearthstone, that's in World of Warcraft, isn't it?
Oh, well, it was, Marty. Back in the days of vanilla Warcraft, when a certain raid called Zul'Gurub released, and there was a debuff that accidentally made its way outside of the dungeon into the real world.
Through Hunter Pets.
Was it on a Hunter Pet? Yep.
Yeah.
Always check your pets for corrupted blood. of course, and it got out into the world, started infecting everyone, started wiping everyone out. It was a
And
epidemic.
it actually, it was a pandemic, and it actually, scientists actually used that data, like research data, because that's how it would work in the real world as
Yeah.
well. So,
Yeah, we'd be all dead. Yeah, we'd be gone. So anyway, what are we talking about with regards to Hearthstone? In Hearthstone, Blizzard decided to infect their players, but not very many of them, just a couple in various regions. And apparently, according to somebody I know, they infected 2 people in the UK. And then when this person played somebody, they were infected with a card back. So they have this Hakari card back, and when they played someone else that didn't have it, they got infected, and then they got the card back. So then when they played somebody, they would get the card back, and then it spread. It's spreading like
So-
wildfire. If you don't have that card back, and you want to get infected,
play against you.
Hearthstone.
Do you have it? Do
You
have
can
it?
play against me. You could play against me, and I will happily give you the virus.
So you have it. Do you
I have the
it?
virus. Yep, I have it,
Alright.
and I will give
I
it
know
to
what
you.
you can give it to me.
Okay, you want it? You got it.
I want it.
Michael, we'll talk about Hearthstone card backs.
Are you sure?
you're-
Are you sure? You're talking
you're
about
coming in.
transmitting viruses to each other. Um,
And give it to each other.
Yeah, so
we need to put
That's
like an
it.
18 or older on this podcast.
but apparently this is going to go on for forever. So if new
really?
people play Hearthstone and then they play against somebody that has the Mark of Hakkar card back, they'll get infected. So this is a curse or a virus or whatever you want to call it that can never be eradicated unless the Hearthstone server shut down. But that's never going to happen. That's never...
I have a question about Hearthstone.
Oh,
What is the
okay.
what is the current state of the of like the single player like story type content that they have? Like the what type of thing is it right now? Like they had dungeon run, they had the puzzle thing. What's the current
So in the Rumble run, it's like a...
is it like the dungeon run again?
It kind of is, yeah. You pick one of like your troll, or you pick like a troll champion to represent you, and each troll has a like shrine, which is like a minion that usually has quite a lot of health, but once it dies, it goes dormant, and then it takes like 3 turns to resurrect again. It has, I think just off the top of my head, the paladin one was something like when your hero takes damage, deal 5 damage to the enemy hero and things like that. And right now, actually, in Tavern Brawl, you can play as one of the troll champions, and that's the Tavern Brawl at the minute, which is actually pretty cool. But yeah, that's how it is at the minute. I haven't completed it yet. It was okay. I don't think it's as strong as Monster Run or the Monster Hunt or Dungeon Run, to be honest. I think those modes have had a bit more depth. This was more just like once you've completed it once, you were kind of done with it. I like what they did with the puzzle labs for the Boomsday project. I thought that was really neat, and yeah, I'm going to be interested to see what they come out with for the first Hearthstone expansion of the year. It seems like as the year progresses, it tails off a little bit, and I'm really interested to see if they take some new ideas or they're kind of sticking with this formula of just dungeon run kind of situation.
Can I just say, I hope that they go back to the old way. Like, I like the different tiers, like all the way from like Black Rock Mountain and all those where like you face off against different bosses and there's like 4 in tier 1 and you kind of go up. Like, I really like those ones.
I really enjoyed the puzzle lab as well. I thought the puzzle lab was actually quite good. Still is, because I still haven't completed everything. But yeah.
I want
I
Puzzle
actually-
Lab thing to be its own mode, where like they just constantly update it with new puzzles.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. And I
That would be
think
good.
a lot of people wanted that with Dungeon Run initially as well. That in theory, you can go back to that now, and because of the updates and cards, you can have different experiences. Same with Monster Hunt as well. I guess the only thing is there's no real incentive to do that unless you get one of the quests to go back and do that, which is a shame because I think Dungeon Run has like so much potential that could be expanded upon, but I guess the downfall is it's a single player, and that's never going to be the priority in Hearthstone. It's always going to be the multiplayer aspect as well.
But if they just put like some card pack at the end of it or something, like some incentive to do it so that you can grow your deck, but make it so that it adapts to like the current expansions. Be like, hey, it's a random card pack from anything that's part of this season, rather than just a classic card pack. 'Cause that seems like what they do all the time. Like, hey, do this and you get a classic card pack. And I'm like, I already got all those.
20% more
though.
developers.
Almost.
20% more developers. They
Not
can
on
do-
Hearthstone, Marty. Not on Hearthstone.
Oh, okay. That's a shame.
But yeah, this year we might start seeing the aftermath of like half of the Hearthstone team leaving. Like, well, not half the Hearthstone team, but some of the big names in the Hearthstone team leaving.
Hey there, don't be scared.
Hey Ben, we're gonna see that impact this year, and it's gonna be interesting to see if it creates some
New things.
new things or not, because that might be an
Finally, the
indication of-
creative minds have free reign. Jeez.
I don't know.
Blinded
I'm sure
by the
Ben Burrow
flannel.
would- Yeah, they were just like, no, you will not make.
He was a tyrant.
Anything new. Yeah.
That wasn't my idea.
I love how none of us can do a Ben Burrow voice.
I wasn't trying to. I was just trying to do
That's
some
a
bridge
terrible
villain from a cheesy movie.
Yeah, he was the bad guy all along. We thought he was the good guy, and he was actually ruining Hearthstone. But now he's gone, and Hearthstone can return to its glory days. I don't think that's going to be the case, but let's see what happens with Hearthstone this year. At least that is something we know. We get 3 expansions a year. That's, you know, if you could,
It's
you could pin
reliable.
your hopes on.
That's
reliable,
soon.
yeah. Yeah.
That's soon, right? Next
That'll be-
expansion.
should be
Next
April.
expansion. Yeah.
For my
so
birthday.
So something we can talk about right there.
Yeah, and usually, of course,
Pen it
it's
in on the April show notes. Hearthstone. Something about Hearthstone.
That'll be the new year as well, which is always a big deal. Usually some cards head into the Hall of Fame. Great time to get some extra dust for your cards, and usually it's the best time of the year to play Hearthstone because you have the rotation into Wild, and Standard is a bit more accessible, and usually it really shakes the meta up. So
Yeah.
it's always a good time. Always a good time.
It's a level playing field as well. Everybody's sort of like have the same start point. It's the same cards. Ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of. Almost.
Yeah. Yesterday when I was having dinner, I was watching some Overwatch League because it's back, baby. It has begun, and Michael is sporting the Overwatch League hoodie. He's ready. Did you watch Dallas Fuel versus who was it? The other team that played yesterday.
I didn't watch it yesterday, but
Who
I
was
did.
the other team?
Look it up.
Sparks, something. I don't know.
Wow.
All right, so there's a few things about Overwatch League. One, I enjoy watching it, but two, I don't really follow it, if that makes sense. Where it's like if I kind of catch it while it's on, then I catch it. But other than Soul Dynasty, I don't really try to keep up too much. But I enjoy watching it, and it's back, and there are more teams this season. I think they added like 6 or 8 teams. So, despite what we're hearing about Overwatch being stagnant and maybe not pulling in what everyone is expecting, they are still expanding the esports scene of it, which is pretty nice. And just a quick reminder that all of these players are under contract, so they are automatically being paid for being on the team. So it's a good thing right there. But also another good thing, last year almost every game was at the Blizzard Arena in California. But this year they're actually going to be traveling a bit more. They're going to be going, I think, to like Atlanta, and they're going to these different areas, so that those teams, you could kind of start getting that feel of like, hey, I'm going to watch my home team in my area. So I think that's pretty cool. I'm looking up, who did you say you were watching yesterday, Marty?
Dallas Fuel versus something Spark? I want to say Spark. I don't know why.
It's,
The Hangzhou Spark, something like that. Forgive me for the pronunciation for those who actually know it. I don't mean to
You
be
nailed it.
insensitive,
Yep.
but yeah. So today, Seoul Dynasty is playing against Dallas Fuel, so I might check that out.
When's Toronto playing?
Toronto, let's see. There's Vancouver. The Vancouver Titans versus Shanghai Dragons. That was yesterday. Toronto played on Friday, so I would need to check when they're.
Oh, they don't play
next
till
game is.
They don't play till the 23rd again. So.
So
won.
for the most part, you check them out like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I believe. Like that's when Overwatch League kind of goes on. So if you're interested in Overwatch League, it has just started up again. It will be every week, I think, pretty much, on your weekends. So it's a good time to just kind of sit back and relax.
Overwatchleague.com. This is kind of what you want when you're following esports. Like there's the fixtures, there's the times, there's the stats and all that information that as a sports fan, Michael, that you would generally go to when you're following something like this. You've got the rosters there, you've got everything you would need to follow this, and even if you go onto the website right now, there's a little countdown of the next match and when it's gonna happen.
I was about to say that, like, they're just advertising it, like, right on the front page. You get on there and you see Houston Outlaws versus Boston Uprising coming up in an hour and 3 minutes. Like, I like that. It tells me, like, immediately, most likely if I go there, what do I want to know? Hey, there's a game coming on soon, let me watch that. And I could look at the clock and be like, yeah, okay, gonna be doing another podcast at a time, so I can't watch it. but it lets me know what's going on, and I like that.
Yeah, and I just watched it yesterday while I was eating dinner, and really, just enjoyed watching it. And it was actually at least a few maps that I saw. I didn't see the whole match, but the few maps that I saw was pretty well played, pretty good games, and it's just fun. It's really fun to watch for me. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, it's
when
more
you
fun
find
watching
that
than playing.
game, when you find that game you enjoy watching, because I know, obviously I like playing Hearthstone, but I love watching it. Sometimes I think maybe I love watching it more, because when there's just like a tournament on, I just put Twitch on and I kind of just leave it in the background, but I'm kind of watching it, and I don't know.
I'm the opposite, man. I can't watch Hearthstone.
As long as you hide that chat, the Twitch chat, like, it is fine. It is a great experience.
I mean, I like it, but I think because I don't keep up with like what's going on in game, that it doesn't appeal to me on that level, because it's like, yeah, I get the idea, but they're doing things that I don't really know about, so I'm like, how is it fun if you know what's in their deck already, pretty much? Like, I don't know, like, to me it's a mystery when you play games, and I like that, but I don't know. To everybody has their own esport. That's what it is.
Hearthstone is an RNG fest. You don't have to worry about what's in your deck, because that does not matter.
Which is more like, why is it competitive then? How can you just have RNG fest and have a legitimate
you can be good at RNG.
it?
You can be good at RNG. Trust me.
We have a special guest.
I don't know how much you can hear her per.
We can hear her.
Kitty likes it when we talk about Hearthstone.
Kitty likes it when we talk nerdy. One last thing, if you're into esports, is that the Arena World Championship has begun as well.
That's right.
So,
it actually
likes that, so we're done talking about it.
It actually began. It actually began, I think, a little bit before the Overwatch League, but I wanted to throw it in there because we didn't talk about it last week. So just in case people are interested, the Arena World Championships for World of Warcraft have begun, and I actually really like the AWC. Like, I don't know why. I don't understand anything that's going on, but I just like seeing it, and
it's too random for me. It's too random.
It's so impressive to watch, though, because if it was me who went in there with two other people, I would be dead within 30 seconds. And these people just keep it going for 10 minutes or something like that. It's crazy how long they can stay alive. I don't get how they do it. It doesn't feel like we're playing the same game at all.
It's almost like watching the Method do the Mythic Raid, where it's like, how are they able to do that? Like, my eye level is higher than that right now, and I can't stay alive for 2 seconds, but they're doing all these crazy things. And I always do this, and I have to give a shout out, as always, to the casters for the Arena World Championship, because they do a heck of a job keeping up with everything and keeping you informed, and they do their best to like make sure that noobs like me actually understand what's going on. And while I may still not understand what's going on, I appreciate the effort that you guys put in. So if anybody over there hears this, good job, keep it up, and I look forward to another season.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think we made it to the end. Another week, and we made it to the end of the show. So
That's always a good thing, where no one dies on the way to the end of the show.
I like
always
that.
great.
I like that.
Last orders! Last orders!
And here we are. We are ready to get out of here. But before we do that, we need to quickly make a shout out to Nerd This, where we're going to talk about different subjects this week, and what they are, well, you have to listen for yourself over at Nerd This Podcast. So also stay around, because after the show we have the Freshly Report. That's a little bit different this week, but let us know your thoughts about anything we talked about on this episode. Or if you have your own questions, feel free to contact us. Tom, how do people do that?
No, you can email the show at thebluereclusepodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at The Blue Recluse. And why not join us on the Dragon Powered Studio Discord, where there's lots of talk about Final Fantasy 14 and nerdy stuff, and Blizzard games too, because we know you love Blizzard games if you're listening to this show. And you can find that at theblue.eu/discord. And you can support this show over at patreon.com/The Blue Recluse. And you can find all that information, including our show notes for this episode and more, on our website, thebluerecluse.eu or thebluerecluse.com, because we have 2 website addresses, but they all go to the same place. All roads lead to the Blue Recluse.
I just want to quickly say, if you didn't hear it, that our Discord was thebluerecluse.eu/Discord, because something happened to the sound.
Tom went robotic.
So,
I got so excited.
I know.
It's the AI. You guys, you said this smart mind was deep mind. I'm saying that right.
I think there's nothing else to say, but thank you so much for listening. And Freshly, take it away.
This would typically be the Fraz report, and this is not a hot take on what happened. There's plenty of that going on. I want to thank everybody that is and has worked for Blizzard, and everybody that has done game development, for making things that we really enjoy. I tried this week to get myself to make a report like I typically do, and I just can't. The creativity is not flowing. If you see somebody that is in need of support and needs encouragement, reach out to them. Let them know how much you care. Let them know how they have helped your life. I am planning to be back next week with the Fraz report, but thank you again to every person who has ever been a part of the World of Warcraft and the games that we love to play.
This show is brought to you by Dragon Powered Studio. Find more at dragonpoweredstudio.com.